Welcome to the Full Nelson. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Canik Rival SFX-S. The S stands for steel frame. This is the first Canik I have owned. Years ago, when Caniks first hit the market, you couldn't have paid me to own one, and that's because I had heard from lots of sources I trust that there were problems quality control wise and reliability wise and stuff like that. Kind of reminds me of Palmetto State Armory's legacy. When they first kind of hit the market, they weren't really considered top tier, top quality, but they got after it, got to work, and they listened to that feedback and improved and improved and improved. And today they produce some of, in my opinion, the best AKs in the world, not just in the United States, not just in the United States. I have some of their AKs, the GF5, or I don't have the GF5, but the GF5s and the AKE. I own an AKE. I owned a couple of them. Superb quality, easily on par or better than what I've seen from any other manufacturer, the Zastava or any of that I owned. I would take an AKE or a GF5 any day over the Zastava. In fact, I got rid of the Zastava. So Canik's legacy is very similar, which is they started out kind of being not considered to be top quality or top tier or able to compete with some of the more well-known or well-renowned or more proven names out there on the market. And that has changed dramatically over time. And I'll tell you, this firearm right here, in my opinion, represents the pinnacle of what it is that Canik has produced to date from what I have seen. It has all the benefits that you've seen with the Canik Rival series or any of their modern offerings, with the addition of a steel frame. This is if Canik said, we're going to take all of our experience and all of the hard knocks we've had over the years, and we're going to constantly improve and constantly learn. And then once they came up with all of these improvements, they sat down and said, now how do we take this platform that we have that's now working reliably and well-rounded, well-renowned, and make it into the best race gun we can make? And that's what you've got here. Phenomenal trigger from the factory. Best striker fire trigger I've ever used. I've heard that from lots of people who talk about how great the Canik triggers are, but it really cannot be overstated. It is like shooting a nice two-stage rifle trigger. It is a phenomenal trigger. I would say you're looking at probably about a 3.5 pound pull. If you look at this has already been safety checked for those of you who are maybe concerned about that. You've got your pre-travel, which is relatively light, not mushy, very even. It's not like a different pull weight, just like a nice two-stage rifle trigger. You hit your wall, and it breaks through the wall. Virtually no creep. And the reset is extremely short. The trigger shoe is wide. It's comfortable. I believe the trigger itself is aluminum as opposed to polymer. Trigger is just exceptional. If I could get a trigger like that, I'd pay $200 to $250 for a trigger that's that good to put a trigger like that on my Glocks. I've tried the Timney Alpha triggers. I've tried the Glock competition triggers. They do not compare to the trigger that's in this Canik Rival. It's not even close. And those are going to set you back $100 to like $175 depending on where you look. So trigger is exceptional. That's the main star of the show when it comes to this firearm. However, that's not where it ends. What Canik includes from the factory is also awesome. They include 4 different grip modules. They include your little tool thing that comes with a couple of extra magazine release buttons, different hardware and screws that you need. This is a little bit holder, this little toy looking gun thing here. And then they got a replacement fiber optic front sights that are also in this. All of that stuff's included in this. Comes with 2 mags from the factory with metal base pads. You have to install those metal base pads yourself because they have the Palmer ones installed from the factory. And they also have the mag well down here, and it's not installed from the factory. I don't know why. I don't know who's buying this steel frame gun that's not going to want the mag well on or the metal base pads. I think they should just include those from the factory and probably throw away the plastic pads. I don't think most people are going to have a use for those once they install these metal ones. They're probably going to prefer those. But anyway, And I would just install the mag well from the factory too. But it's one screw, and it takes 2 or 3 minutes to put all that stuff on the gun to have it set up the way that it comes from the factory. So that's what they include there. They also include a holster and a bunch of metal optics plates and cleaning brush, magazine loader thing, and a punch, which is pretty cool. And even though the handle is plastic, the punch is actually metal. Unlike Glock and some of the companies, I own lots of Glocks, and they include these piece of junk plastic things that you can't even pull your back straps off your gun apart with, hardly anyway. So that's what it includes from the factory. Oh, I guess it includes a trigger lock and stuff too if you need that. But anyway, that's what's included from the factory. So pretty good value from the factory. I do wish it came with a few more magazines for me personally, because I know other Caniks will come with 3 or 4 magazines some of the time. But when you look at what this gun does and what it provides value-wise, when you look at other competitive offerings that are out there, the gun is a tremendous value, and it's an exceptionally well put together firearm. I'm going to disassemble this real quick to show you something. And I showed this in a video comparing a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 metal to this gun. I have some videos out there for that for people who are interested. But because the frame is steel, I was concerned that they would go the silly Mickey Mouse route that Smith & Wesson did with their aluminum frame, which is to install standard rails into the aluminum frame. I thought, are they going to do that with a steel frame? Like, if it's steel and it's decent quality material, just machine the rails right into the frame. That makes a lot of sense. I just prefer that over having pins and everything holding all of that in. And that's exactly what they've done here. All of these rails that the slide rides on are just all machined into this frame. So it's not just your typical Canik with, oh, we made it a steel frame, but we still install this block with the rails, and so it looks like it's steel, but we went halfway instead of going all the way and making it as good as we can make it. They made this as good as they could make it. So I appreciate details like that. I also appreciate, in terms of the grip modules and how they are held in place, and the magwell. Magwell is not toolless. People love some of the toolless design. Most of the toolless designs aren't truly toolless. This is just a nice, deep, drilled and tapped area in this steel frame, and one screw holds this on there. The fit is superb, no wiggle, no nothing. You put thread locker on this, you're never going to have an issue with this. I like that they machine the checkering into the grip on this gun, and the grip modules fit very well, no sloppiness or anything about that. They take tools as well. It's just 4 screws drilled and tapped, very easy to take off, very secure. And in terms of internally in the magwell, the mags are riding on all steel. They're not machined all the way through like on the Smith & Wesson 2.0 competitor that I showed in the video, where the mags are actually rubbing against the Palmer because they machined all the way through, and that's just a very poor way of doing it, in my opinion. Canik did it the right way. So just exceptional design, in my opinion, and it all shows in terms of the firearm. Now that I've talked about like quality of the trigger and all that, the fitment between the frame and the slide is excellent. There is just the tiniest amount of wiggle, and less than what I think you would see in your typical striker-fired gun. And there's supposed to be some, so that the guns are reliable. It's not like a hand-fit, very expensive 1911. But when you pull the trigger, any of that, you don't see the slides walking or anything, because the frame and the slide fit's so sloppy, or where it's coming to rest, it's jerking things around. Great fit, slide to frame fit. Now, function, reliability, and performance on the range. I took it today. Accuracy is exceptional. This is the most accurate handgun in 9mm I've ever shot. And there's, I think, a couple reasons for that. I think the frame to slide fit, being as solid as it is, contribute to that. And then the trigger is a huge part of being able to exploit the accuracy of the platform. So the way I phrase it is, I always say that there is inherent accuracy, and then there is like your ability to make the firearm perform accurately, the way you're able to interface with the firearm to exploit the accuracy potential of the firearm. So when I say inherent accuracy, what I mean is the barrel and this and that, if those components are all put together and you take the human element completely out of the equation, how accurate is that firearm? What is the accuracy potential of that firearm? That's its inherent accuracy, at least that's the way I view it. Now, people don't realize how big of a component the other part of the equation is, which is your ability as a human being to interface with that firearm and exploit the accuracy potential of it. And that's where having good quality triggers, having firearms that fit you well, things like that will make a big difference in your ability to be able to exploit the accuracy of the firearm. This is exceptional in both. When I took as much of the human element as I can out of it, shooting it off a bench, I mean, one ragged hole, no problem. It's just amazingly accurate. And again, that's two things. That's inherent accuracy is part of it, and then the trigger being as good as it is makes it very easy to exploit the accuracy of this platform. So accuracy-wise, exceptional. Recoil impulse-wise, well, because of the steel frame, it doesn't have the same snappy recoil that you're going to get out of an aluminum or a Palmer frame gun. It helps tame the gun down quite a bit. It does add quite a bit of weight. So if you're talking about a gun you're going to be carrying long ways or anything like that, not the best thing. But if you're looking for a gun for home defense, nightstand gun, in a vehicle, going to stay in a vehicle gun, competition gun, any of those things, this would work very well for any of those types of situations. Now, as far as shooting it at speed, I find that at speed, this gun and my Glocks and my Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 competitor and all of those, I can shoot them at pretty much the same cadence and still hit what I'm shooting at, and my groups are similar. This is probably a little bit tighter, but similar at speed if I've got a, silhouette size target and I'm just shooting center mass. But if somebody says precision at distance, you got to slow it down, okay? Smaller target. You're engaging it instead of 5 yards, 10 yards, 15 yards, you're now going out to 25 yards, 50 yards. That is where this gun absolutely blows the doors off of its competitors because of the additional weight, but also because of that trigger. That trigger just makes it so much easier at distance to hit what you're aiming at. Anyway, so performance on the range was exceptional. Reliability-wise, no stoppages. The thing ran like a Swiss watch, no problem. So I'm very impressed with it. I think that pretty much goes over most of the things that I like about it and most of the things that I don't like about it. If you guys have any questions or, things that I don't like about it. The holster that's included with it is pretty tight, too tight in my opinion. I think they need to either redesign this, find a way to loosen it up, something, because the holster is not real great for this thing. When you actually have it mounted on your belt, it kind of hangs up or snags a lot of the time. So the holster could be improved. And then the other thing is, I wish that the grip texture, this rear texture I think is okay, but I like ultra aggressive. So I wish the grip texture was super aggressive, both of what they machined into the steel and what they put on here. Now, I know they're striking a balance with that because some people don't like it. I didn't feel like it hindered me in terms of holding on to the gun, but that's just my personal preference. So anyway, so that concludes my review of the Canik Rival SFX-S. I think it is an excellent value. I highly recommend it, especially over things like a Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0 metal competitor, or over something like a Glock 34, which I own and I am fond of. But this gun, for the additional money, is just, you're not going to find anything that's going to beat it for what they're asking for this thing. Anyway, if you guys have any questions or comments or experience of your own, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day.